Welcome to a new Daily Top AskReddit video. Today's topic.
Women of Reddit, what's the weirdest thing you put in you for pleasure? Security questions for Facebook are getting wild. That, and the school kids are bored and horny posting again. This happens every single Christmas, spring break, and summer break. Lots of wildly NSFW questions get asked. Women, what's the sexiest sex that you ever sexed? Quote. Some questionable men have been inside me. I don't remember you. You weren't questionable enough apparently. A thermometer to see how hot my vagina is. Is that a fairly common way to check your fertility when you're trying to have a baby? You take your vaginal temperature every day, and when it goes up, that's when you're ovulating. So kinda weird, but at the same time very normal. Thing is, you just need to measure your temperature, not necessarily vaginal, but it works, but it's unreliable because it can be hard to see the 0.5 degrees Celsius difference, and slight fevers can also give you a false positive. Story time. A few months ago my wife and I were making the beast with two backs, and while she always feels amazing and warm in her bits, this time it was markedly warm, bordering on hot. It was certainly new. I had thought something was different at the start when I was using her thighs as earmuffs, but shrugged it off. It turns out she had a fever ramping up and tested positive for COVID the next morning. She initiated, and somehow I did not get COVID. I joked that my mouth wasn't near hers and get swatted, but yeah, it was different. Wait, you can detect COVID with your dick and you're immune to the virus. Put on a cape and save the world, superhero, you have a gift. I suddenly remember a friend of mine used stick glues. She glued maybe 8 thin stick glues, then she melted them until it takes the shape of a penis. She uses condom before using it, and she says it feels like a real penis, hard and flexible. Creativity 10 out of 10. Edit. For context, her parents are both strict and conservative. One time we went to their house and gave her B-Day gifts. One is dildo, just for laughs. We were laughing out loud until her mom saw it and glared at us. We ended up putting it back in our bag, lol. She couldn't buy sex toys, afraid that her parents will find out, although she's already an adult. She has a BF but LDR, 4 years now. We asked her one time, how the hell would she relieve herself when she's horny, then she showed us her stick glues. We were confused at first until she took it off from its holder and we bursted out laughing. LMAO. We had that convo a year ago. She still lives with her parents, by the way. She's not an anger or scientist, but she was an art major, lol. Is she an engineer or scientist? 5 minutes shafts. Mobile phone. The old small Nokia ones. Rang it from another phone in vibration mode. It was just face with hand over mouth. That just reminded me. Never put it inside me, but I used the rumble pack on my N64 controller as a vibrator. Epona was running into a lot of walls that summer. I mean, who didn't put the N64 rumble pack on their junk? Are you really a country girl if you haven't put an ear of corn in a condom and fucked yourself with it? Ah shucks, I guess I'm a city girl. So, no condom then. I once carved a full wooden dildo out of a tree branch. I still have it, but only for joking purpose now. Edit. As this post is growing, pun intended, I will answer a few recurring questions. I made it from boxwood and sand it smooth to avoid splinters. My GF and I used it as a dildo a few times because we were young and too broke to have a store-bought dildo. We use it now just to make bad inside jokes between us. I recall seeing a news story about an ancient toy carved in a similar manner to what you describe. Wooden fertility idol. 6 inches of hardwood, hand-carved by stone tools. Heavyware patterns. Circa 1250 AD. Quote. Don't judge me. So, if anyone is familiar with durians, they're a large spiky fruit full of smelly flesh. No, not the whole durian, you weirdos. Anyways, they have a phallic core in the center, so when you're done with the fruit you get left with nature's dildo. From hell. Where this went horribly wrong, I didn't realize till it was in that it's quite spiky too. Except the spikes are fairly small, so you don't really notice till you do. I did some damage to my vagina. Never got back part of the skin. It weeped for like 2 weeks, and trying to consult doctors without explaining what I'd done was a huge nightmare. That was a lesson learned. Indonesians say durian has aphrodisiac effects, but that was taking it a bit far, rolling on the floor laughing. They say anything's a dildo if you're brave enough. Yowza, I just crossed my legs so hard and I don't even have a cooter. Go gadget brain bleach. A lot of brush handles. I was so ashamed until I grew up and realized a lot of girls have done this. It's so funny to me that so many girls just figure this one out on their own. Like it was something I tried and did and never told anyone, but now I know it's a fairly common item girls try. I remember using one that was kind of flared and specifically went out and got a similar one that didn't have the hole in it for hanging on a hook. When I told my husband about it, he seemed utterly shocked that yes, teen girls are also horny and yes, they also do some weird shit when they're young and horny, just like dudes. A girl at high school put a test tube up in science in a dare and it shattered. Rushed to hospital. Till freaks me out. Edit, this comment has got so many responses I can't respond to them. It happened in Brisbane, Australia in the late 80s. She wasn't part of my friend group. It was very graphic as the teacher wasn't present at the time and the kids had to deal with the bleeding, screaming and panic until the teachers and then first responders arrived. Obviously it was a big deal and the whole school knew. She didn't come back for about a month. The principal addressed the assembly and laid down the law for her return. There were wild rumors, but I felt tremendously sorry for her, would smile at her and try to make her comfortable upon returning. I don't know what's true and what's not and I don't recall her name. She was noticeably uneasy and awkward and upset on her return. I don't trust any of the accounts of school friends since because it made the news and the rumors were just wild. That's all I know. I do know kids that were in the class at the time but they weren't in my friend group and had the fear of God put into them not to discuss the details by the school authorities. God damn, I'm a guy and even my cooch shuddered at that image. The men's Verison is the glass thermometer used as a sounding rod. It's one of the horror stories one of my EMT friends regularly mentions. Magic grow dinosaurs, little capsules with foam dinosaurs compressed inside them. You soak them in warm water to dissolve the capsule and a dinosaur pops out and expands. I shoved one of them up my vag and masturbated. My wetness dissolved the capsule and poof, Triceratops. This is the kind of science I come for. So did she. A goth DJ. Not even a stoner DJ. Nope. Goth club speed freak DJ. He was deeply invested in weird. Dog toys are pretty much the cheap, whoa, man's dildos. But now when I do crunches I squeak. Squeef. There used to be a website where it would show a series of pictures and you had to guess if the item was a sex toy or dog toy. We wasted so much time playing the game. Man, I have fucked a lot of dungeon masters in my day. Legendary items aren't worth it. Honestly, half of the time I find out they're a DM way later. I wish it was to benefit my character somehow, but no, I just have a thing for nerdy dudes. You girls are lucky that so many things could vaguely resemble a penis. Try finding stuff that could be used as a vagina, it's hard. Ah, don't put your dick in that. Well, that's my daily risky click token used. Thanks. How about a coconut? Thanks for the PTSD. Watch out for the maggots after a few weeks. Cold spoon. ... Which end? No, you see it goes in horizontally. My husband's pretty weird. Amy, is that you, honey? Jake. Curling iron. I'll admit when I was a wee lad I saw my older sister's curling iron and thought it was a dildo. Took me years to realize what it actually was, lol. Those things can look quite phallic. My stepmom gave me a couple of the really phallic looking ones. My ex was convinced they were my secret dildos and that such things were manufactured as a conspiracy of secret dildos for women too afraid to go buy real ones. Side question I wanted to ask, after masturbating with, say, a cucumber. Do people eat it or is it always thrown away? If eaten, why is there no market for vagina cucumber yet? I had a friend who liked to experiment with vegetables with one of their partners. They always ate him after, like in soup or whatever. But it was just dinner for the two of them, they didn't serve it to other people. I read a story about a couple who used a cucumber as a sex toy while getting freaky. They woke up the next day to find their toddler had wandered into their room and was munching on it. Exclamation mark. Username, checks out. Cucumbers in Australia are sold in a plastic cover. I assume this is so you can eat them afterwards. A small, electrical razor that I used for like 2 to 3 years, because I was too embarrassed to get a toy. And when I was in the hospital for a long time it was an electrical toothbrush, the back of it, because yak now, the butt of it vibrated. I'm amazed at your resourcefulness with the toothbrush. I gotta say though, I'd have to be in the hospital for a long time to get horny enough to do something about it. Toothbrush, conditioner bottle, hairbrush, sausage, remote control, and an orange-colored pencil. Edit, no, not all at once. But I did put 5 baby carrots in me at once, rolling on the floor laughing, young and dumb. Do you think the purple one would feel different? Oh lord, I did some real questionable shit as I was discovering things, ribbons, the leg of a chair we still have, which I look at in shame practically every single time, flashlight, the pen that's attached to a magnadoodle, not in me but my ex used his Xbox controller once as a vibrator to tease me. I've done the gaming controller thing to my wife, she was weirded out by it mostly but also bummed that the vibration response segment didn't last longer, lol. I was a bit too lol, I was like wait a minute, tears of joy. Gotta find that game that just always has a reason to vibrate so she doesn't get bummed out like that again lol. Removed. Sometimes, it's worth the gamble to see a user's post history. Was shockingly accurate. When I was just beginning to explore putting things inside, I, being the sheltered and ignorant teenager that I was, got the harebrained idea to use a marker. To make matters worse, it was the type of marker that had a ridged lid, so I think it scratched something in there because it was all bloody when I pulled it out. Plastic bottles with the end going in first to the same sort of damage. Reading all these comments makes me realize the next time I leave my curling iron at my bestie's house, I'ma leave it there and buy a new one. Don't forget the ice, markers, shower head, the sausages in the fridge, and any durian fruit laying around. As long as the durian still has the core, I think you're good, and also you would notice your friend's sudden hospital trip.